Hey everyone, before we dive into today's story, I want to ask you a quick question. What does success really mean to you? Is it the number in your bank account? The title on your business card? Stick around because I think this story might just change your perspective. The final bell had long since rung. The usual chaos of slamming lockers and excited chatter had faded, leaving behind a profound silence that seemed to fill every corner of the school. Outside, the sky was slowly blushing with the colors of sunset, casting long, dramatic shadows across the empty hallway. But inside room 302, a single light burned on, a small beacon against the approaching night. Here, amid the familiar scent of old books, chalk dust, and disinfectant, Mr. Harrison sat beside a young student named Leo. The room felt different now, stripped of its daytime energy. It was a quiet sanctuary, a space where learning could happen without the pressure of the clock or the distraction of dozens of other students. The walls, covered in student artwork and colorful posters of historical figures, seemed to lean in, listening. Leo was hunched over his desk, his forehead creased with a familiar look of frustration, stared at the algebra problem on the page as if it were written in a foreign language. A mess of erased pencil marks and crumpled papers surrounded his textbook, evidence of a battle he felt he was losing. The big final exam was tomorrow, the one that would decide whether he passed the year. The weight of it felt immense, like a physical pressure on his shoulders. Mr. Harrison, a man whose gentle eyes had seen countless students like Leo wrestle with their own doubts, leaned in slightly. He didn't look at the textbook, looked at Leo. He noticed the tightness in the boy's jaw, the way he nervously tapped his pencil against the desk. These were the signs that mattered more than any incorrect answer. "Let's try looking at it another way, Leo," he said, his voice calm and steady. It wasn't the booming voice he used to command a full classroom, but a softer, more personal tone. Forget the X's and Y's for a second. Imagine you're building something. Each part of the equation is a different kind of brick. You just need to figure out how they fit together to make the wall strong. He picked up a fresh piece of paper and a pencil. He didn't just solve the problem for Leo. Instead, he started drawing little squares and circles, connecting them with lines. He turned the abstract, intimidating numbers into something tangible, something Leo could almost touch. He talked about his own struggles with math when he was a kid, how he once thought he'd never get it. He shared a story about building a wobbly treehouse with his dad, and how they had to take it apart 3 times before they got the foundation right. Leo listened. Slowly, the tension in his shoulders began to ease. He watched Mr. Harrison's hand move across the paper, connecting the story to the symbols. For the first time all evening, he saw a flicker of understanding. It wasn't a sudden floodlight of revelation, but a small, hopeful spark. So, the parentheses. "It's like putting all the same colored bricks together first," Leo asked, his voice barely a whisper. A warm smile spread across Mr. Harrison's face. "Exactly," he said, tapping the paper. "You're building the foundation, so you already know how to do it. You just didn't know you knew." They worked for another hour, maybe more. The sky outside had deepened to a dark indigo, and the moon was a silver sliver above the school's roof. The janitor, Mr. Henderson, poked his head in, his keys jingling softly. He saw the two of them under the single light and just nodded, a silent acknowledgement before continuing his rounds. He had seen this scene play out with Mr. Harrison many times before. It wasn't just about algebra. As they worked, they talked. Mr. Harrison asked Leo about his dream of becoming a graphic designer. Looking through the sketchbook Leo always carried but rarely showed anyone, he complimented Leo's use of shadow and perspective, pointing out how the same principles of balance and structure applied to both his art and his math problems. He was connecting the dots of Leo's life, showing him that the things he loved and the things he struggled with weren't in separate worlds. They were all part of the same picture. For Leo, this was more than a tutoring session. No one had ever taken the time to see him like this. To his parents, he was the son who needed to get his grades up. To his friends, he was the quiet kid who was great at drawing. But to Mr. Harrison, in that quiet, empty classroom, he was just Leo, a whole person, full of potential that just needed a little help to be unlocked. Finally, they reached the last problem. Leo picked up his pencil, hesitated for a moment, and then began to work. He moved with a new confidence. The pencil strokes were firm, his calculations clear. Finished. looked it over, and slid the paper toward his teacher. Mr. Harrison reviewed it carefully. He circled the final answer. "Perfect," he said simply. The word landed with a quiet, satisfying finality. Leo looked at the circled answer, then up at his teacher. A genuine, unforced smile lit up his face, chasing away the shadows of doubt. It was a smile of relief, of gratitude, but most of all, of pride. In that moment, he didn't just understand the math. He understood that he could do it. He believed in himself. As they packed up, the silence of the room felt different again. It was no longer heavy, but peaceful. Mr. Harrison walked Leo to the school's main entrance, the echo of their footsteps, the only sound in the vast empty hall. "Get some rest, Leo," Mr. Harrison said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You've got this." Leo nodded, his backpack feeling a little lighter. "Thank you, Mr. Harrison, for everything." Mr. Harrison watched him walk away into the cool night air till his figure disappeared down the street. He turned and walked back through the darkened school, the jingle of his own keys now echoing in the silence. He was tired. It had been a long day, followed by a long evening. His own family was waiting for him at home, wasn't paid for these extra hours. There was no overtime, no bonus, no line item on his paycheck that said changing a life. His reward was intangible. It was the spark he saw in Leo's eyes. It was the shift from "I can't" to "I can." It was knowing that tonight, a young man would go to sleep believing in his own potential. Perhaps for the very first time. Back in his empty classroom, he switched off the light, plunging the room into darkness. For a moment he stood there, looking out the window at the city lights twinkling in the distance. He thought about the common measures of success. Big houses, fancy cars, stock portfolios. But what did any of that really mean in the grand scheme of things? True impact, he believed, wasn't measured in dollars, couldn't be quantified on a spreadsheet. It was measured in the lives you touch. It was in the confidence you build, the passions you ignite, the futures you help shape. One student, one late-night algebra session at a time. It was the quiet, profound knowledge that you made a difference. That was his wealth. And tonight, he felt like the richest man in the world. So, what did you think? This story really makes me reflect on the people who have been a Mr. Harrison in my own life. It's a powerful reminder that our true legacy isn't what we own, but what we give. The most valuable investments we can make are in each other. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who might need to hear this message today. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that explore what truly matters. Thanks for watching.